All right. Oh, I hope that's not too loud. Let's move that. Yeah, it looks like Discord's having an API outage as I was making the announcement that I'm live. I was like, oh, hey, we're live. Oh, I can't share that now. Guess that's not being shared. Can you guys hear me okay? I changed some of the settings. It's in the red for the microphone. Ooh, mono. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I figured. Okay, I want to make sure. There we go. That should be a bit better. Where is that user? Okay. Is this better? Okay, cool. Well, I can always turn it down. I changed this for recording, so I would have potentially better audio for recording. So I still have to fiddle with it a little bit. Pop out. Oh. I don't know how moderators work. All right, I'm gonna close this so I'm not seeing myself multiple places. So it looks like Discord's still down, so I can't let people know there. But today we're going to work on some bags. A larger tote, which I can kind of cover a lot of concepts of luggage. Yeah, Discord's still down. I guess I'll go to Twitter real fast. Oh, I can't copy her stuff. Whatever. Let me just grab the YouTube link again. I'll share it on Twitter so people at least know there. Yeah, I don't know how moderators work. I'd make you a moderator if once I figure out how that works. Rosemary, I give you the power. And let me just grab the YouTube link. There's that. Okay. I've got no sound equipment. I think moderators are just moderating for chat. I don't know how that works with this, but I'll look into it later. Changing the brightness. Can you tell I'm toggling between pages here? So we're a little bit past the 5 minutes, but welcome everybody. I am Megan. I work for Marvelous Designer as a 3D designer and community manager. I believe we might have some other of our staff in chat. I butt it. You do butt it anyways, but then I wouldn't have lag. Maybe next time. I'll talk to you on the side, Rosemary. Maybe you can join me on a video call or something in the future. Back to this. I think I have some of my moderators in the chat. We might have Brandon, we might have Eric, or we might have Michelle. Either way, we're all watching you. Be nice, be polite, or I'm gonna kick you. Same as our Discord. Speaking of our Discord, it's currently down. Like, Discord is currently down right now. But I will share, moving my stuff over here in the chat, a link to our Discord. Here's the Discord invite. Us staff are on the Discord channel, but we are not as active because we are currently, working on making software better for you all the time. But we do moderate and we do keep an eye on if people are asking questions, but oftentimes we have our lovely Rosemary answering before me or before any of us. So feel free to join our Discord when Discord's working. To join our communities, you can share your work, get help, kind of share what's going on. Sometimes just a photo and we can say, oh yeah, you just need to change the scale. It's down for a lot of people. Discord is down. It might not be down for you, but it's down for like me and Rosemary. Who knows why? For those of you in the future watching this stream, I better not see what software are you using. I'm linking it in the chat. The software I will be using exclusively is Marvelous Designer, which is the name of our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel. So don't ask me what software I'm using, please. But if you want to get our software, here is a link to our software, to our website, where you can get a free 30-day trial and you can take a look at like the software, its specs, what is required and what you need, as well as our forum. Community forum is there as well. For those of you who are on Twitch right now, I am linking our YouTube channel. We are streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. We are not partners with anybody. We do let the videos expire on Twitch, but on YouTube, we do keep them in perpetuity, so you do continue to have them as a reference. As well, we have free beginner tutorials, which I am linking again in the chat. If you want to get started using Marvelous Designer, you can follow our free tutorials that you can make things as you go along to get you started. We do highly recommend, if you want to actually get started using the software, to at least watch some of the beginner tutorials, like the introduction series, the introduction playlist, the beginner playlist. We have some advanced as well. Just getting started, following kind of the rules for a little bit, really will help you understand how the software works, because it works like or very similar to real life garment construction. So keep that in mind, as well as it works in human scale. And last but not least, we do, I like the little raptor emote. Last but not least, we do have a link to the support tab on our website. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, I obviously can't answer them on stream and go through your software for you. So feel free to please contact us at support contact tab, where we can actually take a look at the account, better help you there, and actually assist you if you're having technical difficulties, like logging it or something. I like that little raptor. But let's go ahead. I'm going to swap over to the main tab here and get started. I'm going to hide this from myself, keep the tabs up, and move all my chats. I have all of you over here in like 3 different tabs. Hide that one. Is that PogChamp? I'm reading the emojis that are coming through on the YouTube, and that's kind of funny. But getting started, I have my little reference images here in a folder. If those of you who don't know, you can add your own custom folders to your library by just hitting this little plus icon up here. Add, and adding any folder you want. I currently have all of the base folders here. Bag reference is just specifically added for this stream. So I have my little bag reference. This is what I'm going to make today. We'll kind of go over bags and luggage a little bit. This one has a few pleats in there, which will be interesting to see. But I'm basically going to be referencing this image for a while. This one actually has measurements, but I'm going to be converting those to millimeters because I am working in millimeters. So I need to bring up a calculator. Here's a side picture of this bag. So for those of you who are wanting to start working in luggage, the most important part for this luggage is the shape of not the body, but it's going to be the shape of the side, because that's what's keeping the exterior shape. Looks like it's just a soft rectangle, which is going to be easy. So I'm going to go ahead and reset my window. I'm going to bring an avatar into the space just so I can use it as a reference, because Marvelous Designer is a human scale software. I don't want to make it too big by accident. I'm adding that reference image just so I have it. Desktop bag. I'm gonna add this one so I can kind of see it. Lovely. So I could copy this at this angle. I don't really need to. What I am going to do is just make a small rectangle. 9.1. What is 9.1 inches? I'll make it 9 inches. 228. Okay, so it's about half of this. Give that a second. Pull up the chat. Welcome, everybody. I like to work with transparencies here, so I've just kind of made this rectangle here. I think it might be a little too tall for this luggage next to our lovely avatar. Because I'm going to remove him once I get the basic shape out of the way. So with this luggage, I'm going to be making the basic shapes first, getting that outline, and then I'll start adding all of my details. I do want to add... I want to curve these edges. As you can see, they're just curved. So I don't want it to be too sharp. If I'm fast enough, we might be able to make a purse, or I'll make a purse next week, or next stream. So I'm going to be using the smooth curve tool in the 2D window. I'm going to open up the 2D window a little bit more here to curve these segments. Do 60. 70. I'm just being a little persnickety about it. And to do this, I'm right-clicking. You guys can see. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. You can also do it this way and just kind of remember 70, like 77.4. And just get it as close approximately to that. Like that, you know, it's not actually perfect. If you want it to be perfect, I'm spending a little more time on this than I should, but that's fine. You can do it this way as well. And actually split this in half. So right click, unfold with symmetrical editing, and I can then use the smooth curve tool and smooth both ends equally. So at least it's relatively equal. These bottom portions are not perfect. I could measure, you also don't have to. So we're going to stick with this for now. So obviously this is a tube. I'm going to do both sides. This is obviously too long, but that's fine. And making sure to flip this around. So, I mean, this is going to be luggage, so it's fine. But now that I have the circumference here, what I need to do is... Want that? Let's see how this looks. It does reach over a little bit. We'll do it this way. We're going to do it this way. I'm just going to remove this top point, so I'm going to turn that into a curve point. Same with this back piece. Because this is reaching over forward. So I'm going to cheat this a little bit. So I'm going to make this the top portion where it's going to end. Because it does go around that curve, just like it does here. So I'm watching my design lines here. And I'm making that portion, that piece there. This one, I do want to change a little bit. This one, I'll put it on the bottom. Split this line, right click, and I'm doing uniform split, 2 segments, and then I'm going to remove this one, convert to curve point, and convert to curve point. Same with this piece. Split, uniform split to 2. Holding shift to select multiple points. Right click, and I'm converting them to curve points. This is where I'm going to be putting that zipper in. I can move it, we'll see. Okay, so now that I have that, I have my segment points here. I am going to remove the linked editing. So right click and, where is it? Remove linked editing. So I am going to basically making a tube out of all of this. So this is going to be one pattern piece. I'm right clicking, so it's 337.5. Using the rectangle tool, 337.5. By, it was like 21 inches, so 533.4, okay. So this is going to be that top panel. It looks quite wide, but it is going around a curve. Using the free sewing tool, I'm just going between those 2 points. And then remembering to go backwards. I could let this simulate, but it could cause some problems and just, it's going to collapse either way if I let that simulate. So I'm going to choose superimpose side. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it looks pretty, sometimes not. I'm going to freeze these and simulate just so it kind of settles itself out. Beautiful. There we go. Now it's a little bit tighter. Bring up the chat again. As you can see, as Rosemary said, all my normals are on the inside of this bag. The flip normals are on the inside of this bag. And my normals are on the exterior. I could design this bag to be openable if I really wanted, but that's going to take more effort and more complexity to the design itself. I would have to have kind of like lining, and I don't know if we want to go that far today. So let's continue with this piece. 237.4. You don't really have to be perfect about it, but just for the sake of this lesson, we're going to do that. Here I'm using the N hotkey or the segment sewing tool. And bop, bop. Yes, I'm not sewing it to itself. Thank you. Superimpose side. I'm going to change the fabric real quick. Control C, Control D. I'm making a mirrored other side, so I'm just going to go ahead and stitch that. You can also sew in the 3D window. There we go. Oh, I did flip my sewing, didn't I? Oh, I sewed the long side. That was silly. Okay, bop, bop. And then this side is shorter. So this will be a different measurement, 196. And make it the same height. Something going on in that chat? No. All right, and let me just sew these together. Oops. And going to superimpose side. Where are we? You. There we go. Now that I've got the basic shape down, I am just going to go ahead and unfreeze these using Control K, and then add a bit of pressure to all of the pieces. And there we have the beginning of our luggage. Little duffel bag. I'm going to go ahead and delete our avatar because now I don't need that scale. You come here. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, what? I thought you were yelling at someone I couldn't see or something. Yeah. I just kind of flipped them around a little bit. I'm going to do it this way. So this is the basic shape of this luggage. As you can see here, it's a little wobbly. It might help as soon as I apply a different fabric to it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my library back. Go to fabric. This is a canvas, I think. We'll do a heavy canvas in the scene, and then I'll see how I feel about well, maybe a nylon canvas too. Let's give it nylon canvas and see how that simulation changes. There we go. It's less floppy. Yes, I can also drop the gravity too. So what Rosemary means by dropping the gravity is if I right click in my 3D space, I go to simulation properties, I can reduce my gravity. So gravity is always negative 9,800 in Marvelous Designer. You can reduce it to, like, you know, negative 9,000. To get a more accurate simulation to what you are looking for without having to affect the fabric itself. Because there's a few ways to get to the same answer. So I can leave gravity off or lighter for a little bit. Come here, you. And it's doing this because I do have very curved edges, as well as my fabric is all, or my object here is all at 20 particle distance, which is quite large. But it's going to be the easiest to work with. So let's pick a side that I want to start on here. We can start on, let's start on the top. It's going to be a little bit easier with this zipper bag here. And then we'll go to the sides and then this side here. So for this top piece, it looks like we have a 1.5 inch wide belting. So let's go ahead and simulate that. 1.5, 12, whatever. I have my calculator up still. 38. All right. I'm going to split just for the front. So I'm going to split the front here at exactly 38 millimeters. That's 1.5 inches. Might be a 2-incher. We'll see. I can always move it. So I have my little internal line that's showing up here. This looks like it is a 2 inches. I'm going to go fudge that. Close enough. It's a little 2 inches plus there. Delete that point. So I'm just putting that mark there for now. I'm not going to be adding another piece on top of it until I've done the zipper portion of the bag. Just for the sake of speed. The more layers I add, the more difficult it becomes. Let's go ahead. Actually, I'm going to freeze all of this. I'm going to go to my reference images. Check the back. So the back is pretty simple. and it's just a stitch. So it's coming out of that seam, as you can see. And then there's a zipper there. I'm gonna open up another version of this so you can see it a little bit larger. I've looked at it, but you guys haven't looked at it as much as I have. So let me go to my desktop. You can see here that the seam is here that I've made. Then there is a pocket as well. This is just straight up going through. So for now, we're doing this top portion. So I'm going to do the zipper tape and create the flap on top because that's going to be the easiest for now. Well, I'm really going to create the line. I'm going to add the zipper afterwards for the sake of speed. And for the sake of the speed of my simulation. I will show you why. So I could draw in the 3D window itself, or I could kind of just freehand this, which I'm just going to do. I can make an internal rectangle and do the same thing I did before. Check the scale here. This does need to get a little bit closer. And then I'm going to curve these corners because a zipper doesn't like corners. We'll do 85. 85 and 85, and do the same with this one. So now I've got that zipper. This is further away from that edge, but there is a reason. And that reason is that our zippers do take up space. So, oops, don't want to move that. So zipper has a tape as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab bop, 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 the seam and accommodate for that by cutting this piece. I'm just going to go actually delete this line. Come here, you. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is, I believe my zipper tape is 3 millimeters wide or 5 millimeters. I'll do 5 millimeters on each side. So I'm going to choose right click and offset as internal line 5 millimeters. And do that a second time on the other side by right click, offset as internal line, reverse direction 5 millimeters. Now I can delete this internal shape. And this is going to be where I'm going to be cutting once I'm done. So always extend, trim, and add point to pattern outline. And then I'm going to be choosing cut and sew. So this is where I'm going to be applying that zipper from our software into the space. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is because I'm going to be removing this piece. This is just a placeholder so I can work much faster and it doesn't have to account into the simulation a zipper that has a much more dense particle distance. So that's in place. What else is on the top here? We do have the straps. So we can do those next. Coming out of this seam. Looks like it is, without having to measure, it looks like it's about here and there. So just choosing a rectangle and do the 38 plus 12, 40 millimeters. And the height doesn't matter. We'll do 40 millimeters for now. Looks like it's just one strap going around. So because I have this internal line, I can sew directly to it. I don't know. It would be best practice to measure and put points where those lines are, but you can put them after you do it as well. I'll show you how. So let's go ahead and simulate this. Superimpose side. Let me reverse some of the sewing. Reverse. Get it to flip to the direction I want. Reverse sewing. Now let me flip this one. And we'll just superimpose side again. Sometimes it just twists and I don't want to deal with it. Come on, you. There we go, that's better. It's a bit long, so let's shorten that. That looks good. Okay, we'll throw that on the other side as well. Control C, Control V. So I want to know where these reference points are. It looks pretty good. Let me make sure this is actually relatively even. Close enough. So if I want to add these points to this existing sewing line, I can go to add point to pattern on start of stitching and right click add point to pattern on end and do the same thing to the other side. So now I have those reference points, so I can then kind of sew it if I wanted to the correct sides and make it match without having to toggle it too much. You could measure, or you could just use your pattern. Do as I say, not as I do might apply here. You can also actually just split your lines appropriately beforehand. But you know, what's the fun in that? This one's been sewn in the wrong direction, so I'm just going to right click and flip the normal on this one, just because I don't want to deal with it. There we go. And then we have our little Velcro tie up here, so I'm going to go ahead and make that. Pull up the chat again. It is the legendary Rosemary in the chat. The person who's asked about bucket hats, people have already made tutorials on bucket hats. You can find them. I mean, we can make bucket hats. I mean, they're really simple. Eventually, I mean, I can make one. I'll make you a tutorial on bucket hat. But you know, it's pretty simple. So I'm making the grip now. I'm just honestly just gonna eyeball this one. Again, I'm using the smooth curve tool here, and I'm just making it relatively oval. It's beautiful. It's so imperfect. I'm copying this piece and I'm right clicking and I'm going to paste as internal line. Let me see. I have to use trace to do that. I'm using trace as internal shape. And I'm deleting that one. I traced it. It was attached to the other pattern piece, so I just copied and pasted while selecting this one so I can actually use it as an internal line for this piece. So I can use it to reference. I'm lazy. I mean efficient. We are efficient working with Marvelous Designer. Where is this piece? Here it is. This might be a little wide, so let's see. That's wide for a hand. Let's do a little bit shorter. A little bit shorter. And just adjusting the shape here. Making sure to flip this. And then, here you can use this as the you can use it on the internal lines by just selecting the internal lines, or you can use the fold arrangement tool itself this way. And then this way I can put the actual straps inside of this piece. Oh, I do need to toggle on thick textured surface so we can at least see this. And they're wrapping over each other. Which one is going over it? Okay. I'm going to make another internal line. Rectangle. This is going to simulate that Velcro for me once I actually wrap it over. And I'm going to be using I'm going to freeze this portion actually. I'm going to cheat. Cut and sew. Yes, I know. I'm using extended trim to add point, making sure it's just the lines that I have, because previously it was a square. To pattern outline. I'm going to cheat for a second here. I could freeze this, just this one portion, but you can also choose to split this pattern and then just freeze this one piece. And then I can refold this. In doing so, I'm also able to then sew these together, kind of like that. This does need to be a 5 particle distance to work like this. So I get a bit of a smoother simulation here. And I should move these out as far as I can to the edge, so I have more space. I'm going to add pressure just so I can kind of see how it's looking. Help it solve itself for a second here. There we go. And then I can select mesh. Check my straps here. And move all of this piece, actually, before we do that. So I'm going to get these straps inside of this and then freeze all of it, and then we'll move on to the other pieces. Marvelous Designer does not have the option to register shoes for your avatar. So if you want to utilize shoes in Marvelous Designer, I would export them as an OBJ for your custom avatar, and then bring that custom avatar with the shoes that you've made in. Flow only has that because they are using our base avatars to fit and to basically give demos for what a look will look like for the apparel and fashion industry. With Marvelous Designer, you can't actually use our avatars for your projects. So the need to assign those shoes that you've made to the avatar you know, why would you want to do that if you can't really use our avatars for your project? So the best practice would be to work on your avatars in Marvelous Designer, like with your custom avatar, if you want to work that way, and then export them both, bring them back in as one OBJ or as one unit avatar. Right, anyway, so I'm putting this inside of here by just going bloop. You don't have to make the sound effect. I just like to. So if you want to make avatars, again, in shoe avatars in Marvelous Designer, bring in your own custom avatar in the heel height and like shape that you want. Make it in Marvelous Designer, then export it, and then assign that OBJ to be a part of your avatar that you own. Amir is angry. I think the sound effects are necessary because, I mean, why not have fun? But you never know. Fine, I'll do it I'll do it the lazy way. I'll do it the efficient way. I just wanted to put it up there, but I can't. Okay. So you can also just create sewing internal lines to force the pieces up there. You can see I'm just doing it haphazardly because I will be deleting these in a minute. Using the free sewing tool, I'm just grabbing one of these edges. So layers are a little confusing. So layers are based on normals. So you've seen some of the streams where I've forgotten how our layers have worked. So if I actually want this to be up here, so I'm just going to go ahead and deactivate these pieces. I'm going to make this a lower layer. Yes, it's going to make that angry for a minute. But once this is up here, like this, stop that. I can go ahead and select this mesh and freeze it. I do it in the right angle. There we go. And here's where I can do partial freeze. And then I can remove this layer, that layer value. Come back. It got twisted. The level of annoyance I have with myself, not double checking that. Go back. Come on. Fine. We will do this part last, just so actually I keep building something. We'll come back to this one. It worked last time. Like, worked very easy previously. Today it's not choosing to work. Oh, it's because my sewing. That's why my sewing got reactivated somehow. While I was working, this got reactivated, as you saw, which was causing the pieces to bug out, but we're going to keep going with me going to the next pieces. We'll work on this handle last. So this is basically in place. I don't need to do any more right now with this upper area. So we're going to continue with the actual shape of this bag. It's garment. It's a bag. The finished size is 23, but I want a larger bag, so I'm going to be extruding out of it instead. So I'm going to be making this side pocket here. So that's this piece. It does appear it's on both sides. So Control-C, Control-V. And this applies to, for those of you who want to make pockets. This is how you can make pockets as well. So this, and then I have, what is the full circumference of this piece? It is 1008.2. And we'll do 40 millimeters. I can always make it wider. Where do I want that seam line to be? We'll have it at the bottom. So again, right click, superimpose, side. What are we doing here? Oh, I see. Double clicking sometimes works if you actually remember to just do one row for the free sewing. There we go. So at the beginning of this pocket, come here, make sure my normals are going in the correct direction. They are not. Flip the normal. And I'm using Control H, so it's a little bit stiffer so I can see how this is going to look. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, sewing to this bag. And activating that end. Also adding strength and 5 value pressure. They both have 5? Okay. I'm going to give this one 0. Maybe it'll flatten it a little bit. I see. Who are you colliding with? And then I'm just going to go ahead and close this little pocket portion. There's that. It's all wrinkly, but that's okay. Like that. And pressure back to this piece. The shape of this is being affected by the shape of the rest of this bag, so I'm going to keep the top portion frozen and unfreeze the rest of this. Just so we can see, it's still at 20 particle distance, which is also affecting its shape. But for now, I'm just trying to get the basic outlines down. I was fiddling around with the handle, but obviously we'll do that later. So looking at this here, we've got there's clearly a stop where there's a zipper. And then it's got some elasticized pockets. So that'll be easy. And it has the beginning for this strap. I'm just going to go ahead. It looks like it's by about here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my little ghost as a reference. If this happens, always extend and trim and add point to pattern outline. And here I'm choosing right click, cut and sew for both of them. And again, I'm going to do the same thing I did with that top of the zipper. To make sure I'm in the center, I'm just splitting my line on one of the sides using uniform split. You can also do one other way, which I'll show you. This also works along curves. So right click, it's actually meant for it, but I also like doing this. Offset as internal line along a curve, and I'm just doing one, and it'll split it down the center. So we're doing that same thing again. Offset as internal line, 5 millimeters on one side and 5 millimeters on the other side. And we're choosing cut and sew. So that is also where my zipper is going to go once I'm done. This is a very small piece, so I am going to be bringing this up down to 5 particle distance just so we don't have any collision issues. This portion is going to get frozen after this. Just because once I'm done working with it, I don't really need to work with it anymore. And I'll stair step all of this down to 5. We've done that. Let's add those little pockets. It's on the same line, so I'll use another way. If you don't want to work in the 2D window, you can work in the 3D window where we nest them using the edit line tools. So we've nested them all here. I'm using the edit line 3D pattern or the line 3D pattern tool, and I'm just going to draw on it so I know where it is. And then using the edit, I'm just converting it to an internal line. If I had drawn it straight, it would have been useful, but that's fine. Grabbing it and holding shift, I can just drag across. And I have that as my reference. I don't actually need to split this line. What I do want to do is using the trace tool and selecting everything. Trace this pattern, and I can just trace all of those selected lines. So I have this here. It definitely needs to be longer, and it looks like it could be gathered at the bottom. It could also be pleated. So I just want this to be wider, so I'm going to do that. Offset as internal line. I need to make that elastic, so I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. Right click, cut and sew. Since this is actually a piece of elastic in real life, this is elastic. It looks like there's also a seam in the middle, so splitting, uniform split in half. And I'm just going to sew on that elastic and create a line there, split, uniform split. How long is this? 12.5. I'm going to make a 12.5 length line that will sew to. Okay. Now. So I'm going to sew this into place before I apply the elastic value. And then sew all the way back around. And again, superimpose over. Same with you. Come here. Both at the same time. There we go. So we have this. It's going to become mesh in a minute. This piece, I will now add that elastic value. I'm just going to be adding it to those horizontal lines. So selecting all those lines and then choosing elastic. That portion's elastic. And then this piece. Yeah, it looks like it's not sewn down the middle. So, all right. Interesting. Whatever. Don't know why it did that. But I'm not going to question it. Removing that value of nylon on this piece just because I want to make it, more elasticized. And then I am going to stabilize the seam line around it using the seam tape, because I want all of that gathering to be applied to this piece and not to the exterior. Okay, there's that. You can also apply a small elastic value to this. If you've actually calculated the amount that it's going to be going in, you can apply elastic. I'll show you a little bit here. I did like 98 ratio. That way this gets a little bit elasticized, a little bit better. Again, this is 20 particle distance. Let's make it 5. You can see which one you like better. I probably won't do any elastic value on the edges of this. There we go. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. It's really up to how you're working and the look you're going for. Because this will become, you know, something different. Let's see, what else we got? And last but not least, we have the beginning of the D-ring. I'm not going to bring the D-ring into the space yet, but I will make a spot for it. This is the internal piece that it's going to sew onto. Then it'll go up. Looks like it's going to be leather. So I can at least start this. Control C. Here. Clone as pattern. There we go. So cloning as pattern, this is another way. Baggy underwear. Yeah, it does look like baggy underwear, doesn't it? I am going to do another way, which is another way you can also make pockets. Offset pattern outline. So I'm accounting, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to account for half of the turn to go around the D-ring that I'm going to be importing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give it a lot of room right now. I'm going to give it 7 millimeters because I'm going to be unfolding this again. Unfold. And then I'm using the just internal polygon line tool. Enter to finish. Where's this piece? There you are. I am just going to go ahead and sew this in place. See how I like the length of it? Because I know I'm going to have to work around it. I'm also going to flip the normal here. So I have the right side out when I'm done. I can see that this is too small. So using the edit pattern tool, I can also just grab and drag. And try to make it as even as I can. Close. So I have a bigger turnaround for that D-ring that I'm going to be bringing in at the end. Because the more trims and the more avatars that you're going to bring in, the slower the simulation will be because it's going to be having to calculate the more denser polygons and working around and with them. So if you also want to create that X pattern, it's not on this one, but a lot of the times it is. You can do this fold look. I should have unfolded this with symmetrical editing, but I didn't really think that I was going to use this as the example. But nope. Make sure you fold it right. You can do this fold look and then you can sew it, or you can just apply the top stitching. Good. Yes, okay. This always gets me. There you go. So you can actually get that, if this, like, let's just pretend this wasn't leather, so you can get the indentation if you wanted that. So for all of this pocket, I'm gonna make this 10 particle distance for now. And then selecting my pocket, because now that that's done, we're gonna make all of these 5. Because that's how you can get that nice elastic value here. Nice elastic wrinkling. I could make this tighter if I wanted, but we won't. It's fine. I do want to make this a little bit stronger, so I'm going to increase the thickness. So for the rendering thickness here, I'm going to make this 5. So it's a little stiffer. As well as you can see here that this is having this little pucker here. You can try to alleviate that by merging these pieces together. Because there's no longer as much stress on that seam. Let's see a little bit why. Don't do that. There. Then you can always double check. I mean, it's fine. I'll hit Control H and let that kind of come back out and give it a second. The beautiful baggy underwear. We'll make it hold on. Make it a little less. There we go. Chiffon. Trying to remember where I put that mesh texture. Let's see, texture. Do I have tool? I'm not gonna add that though. We'll do it later. We'll do all of the finishing details at the end because I don't want to affect my simulation. But I am keeping these pieces segmented because I'm going to freeze them. So try to keep it as clean as you can so you know what's going on with your workspace here, and freeze. Move that out of my way. So we've got that first piece almost done. Pretty much, there we go. I can fiddle with it later, but I've gotten that in place with this beautiful baggy underwear. The other side looks pretty plain. Let's see. Yeah, the other side is just a pocket, so we'll go ahead and do that, which will be interesting. Again, Control C, Control V to paste, copy paste, and then is that? It does still have the pocket. Oh, the pocket's only on top. Okay, interesting. So this one has another pocket. So what I'm going to do is I've already made that pocket on one side. So I'm going to copy that. Bring that over and paste. And here, come here you. So I know where I'm doing, where I'm starting. Here I'm going to use the multi-sewing, I think. No, I'm going to do it this way. You could use multi-sewing in space, but I don't want to actually make any mistakes doing this, so I've already reversed it. Okay. Since it's already there, it's already copied, I can just bring in the same asset that I was working on the other side and just bring it into this side. Make life way easier and faster. Come here. I just gotta remember which side is which. This side is reversed, so it goes like this. And if I need to, I'll reverse the sewing. And let's check. Did it again. I had it right the first time. Okay. Always check your work before you actually simulate it, because that might happen. And again, you can see I'm just using those little blue dots as reference. I'm using the sewing length lines to make sure that I'm sewing the correct length. And around, making sure that I'm not crossing any of my sewing. And then I'm doing the same thing to the other side. Good. And then I'm gonna unfreeze this. And that one. Bring this back down to 5 particle distance, so it's close as we can. This side has similar stitching here. It's going to have that same zipper, but this one just has a pocket. So I don't need to worry about these pieces anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and freeze them. And then look at that image again. It's just a smaller pocket. So I'm just going to use that polygon line tool again. You could draw it yourself. You can also stop hitting the Windows key. It's beautiful. Let's fix this. Looks like it actually goes only up to the zipper line, so that this upper zipper actually can be used. Because you saw that it was a shoe pocket, so this line needs to actually be useful and accessible, unlike the other line. So this is going to actually go inside of this bag. Currently, I'm not making this to be like openable, but you could make it to do so. That's just up to you. I like this shape. He looks like a little sturgeon face. So we'll stick with that. A little sturgeon bag, you know? Give him a good frown. I'm not putting those away. I'll take those away later. I like them. Again, I'm just going to do that offset. So offset as internal line, 5 millimeters on both sides. I'm choosing optimize and then offset. Don't extend. Okay. Offset again and off other side. Cut and sew. Yes, I knew cut and sew didn't work because I did not extend and trim to the edge on this lower piece. So extend and trim, add point, bop and bop. Now it worked. His frown, I'm not turning that one upside down, is beautiful. I love him. All right, same thing with this piece. I'm copying and pasting. I could have probably copied and pasted the whole piece, but I just didn't want to. Let's grab that internal line. Grab the internal line, selecting and hitting Control V. And I'm just going to sew it in place again, just like I did the other piece. Come here, you. I'm very sad about the sticker on his forehead. Sort yourself out. Thank you. I can't see that. I'm going to keep it there. This is now called the sturgeon bag. This is my sturgeon bag brand. Welcome. In fact, I'm very sad about it, but it's okay, sturgeon. We're gonna finish. We're gonna finish you. It's okay. Don't be sad. Don't be sad, my son. Get a trademark, right? Trademark sturgeon bag. Nobody copy my son. He is mine. I'm his birth mother. All right. Let's check the references again. So that I've gotten that side. Got the little zipper. So let's go ahead and work on the front of the bag. We can make some more pockets. Let's see. So this pocket tapers, it doesn't pleat at the top, so that'll make our life a little bit easier. Where are we? Here you are. Come here, you. Making sure that this side is the top. And I am going to remove linked editing because I don't want this to happen on both sides. Okay, make sure that's the top. So we're gonna have two pockets. I'm just gonna be making that sewing outline first so we can see it is a curved rectangle. So let's see how this is gonna look. Now my bag is a little wider than the image here because I made a little sturgeon boy. My son. He is my son. Okay. All of you. Right click. Let's see. Fine. align top. I'll at least center it a little bit. And I'll probably make these a little wider. These are going to be our bags. They're going to be a little bit wider. Let's go ahead and right-click, clone as pattern. So there is the beginning of the pocket bags. Move you out of my way, though. And now they also look like eyes or buck teeth. I can't tell the difference. He's just sad about his teeth. It's okay. I have big teeth too, buddy. It's fine. So same thing. I'm going to go ahead and make them in line with this. So where's that sewing line? In the space referenced here. Bob. Split. Fine, it's about here. I'll do it this way. Again, I'm just going to draw on it because I don't want to measure. You don't want to measure, you can do the same thing. Split right there. Yeah. And then I can use the edit tool to remove this think of it like chalk. Delete that chalk line. Okay, so same thing. We're going to do the exact same thing we've been doing for all of the zippers. Offset, and then offset one more time. But this time, since it's still my internal line, I'm not going to do that. I think that's all I need for my information. Yeah. I'm just going to copy this and paste it again. And then clone as pattern. I want those internal lines. Fine. Be that way. Send and trim to add point and to my internal lines. I am just going to have a tantrum. So I'm going to do it on both sides again. Just do that both. I can't remember if I can. Yeah. And make sure extend and trim and add point to pattern outline. Cut and sew. Okay. So now that I have all my pieces in place, come here. Give me my, there. We're putting mark in 3D causes similar. Yes. Just like Rosemary said, adding a mark in 3D applies that mark in the 2D window, but you cannot interact with that line. I have seen some people get really confused on, at least on the Discord, not the Discord, on the forum. You can't interact with that line until you actually turn it into a traced internal line, which makes a copy, or you just convert that into an internal line. like you saw me kind of just drawing, and I didn't interact with it in the 2D window. I just used it as a reference. So I didn't really need it for anything else. Okay, so now that I have these pieces, where are you at? I'm going to leave them floating in space for now. I am having a tapered piece here. It looks like it's also top stitched on, so we're going to do that as well. So it is top stitch, so I'm creating an offset for this internal line to create that top stitch to sew to. Just so I have that line so we can see it. I'm not going to do 5 millimeters. I am going to do probably 2 millimeters. Reverse. No, don't reverse direction. Okay. So now I've created an offset around it, so I can actually do that top stitch. Whoop, there we go. So you can see it, because I can just sew directly to it, but to make it look a little bit nicer, I can also make that top stitch. So let's measure the circumference of this piece. I'm including that top stitch, including this offset. Oh, they are curved. Let's do that. Forgot about that. So used to square pockets. Come here, you. So I do need to curve those corners just to keep it consistent. We'll do 48.5. On all of these. As you're seeing here, I did not think ahead because I forgot that they were curved. So while you're working in Marvelous Designer, if you're making a pocket that you're going to be tracing that internal line and turning that into the exterior of the pocket, it is helpful to just kind of finish the size and the scale and the shape that you want before you do that step. So as you can see, I'm having to do these all individually. And then offset it as well. Now that I've fixed it, I can create that offset. So now I have my offset. If you saw the wedding dress stream, Sabrina, I actually made a petticoat. I also made a petticoat during the Halloween stream, but for a more efficient simulation, if no one's actually going to see like the petticoat underneath, you can just kind of cheat a support structure by creating a domed piece that you can then work around. This 2D line is 510.4. Because you can completely make a petticoat in Marvelous Designer, but you are working with a lot of layers that are interacting with each other that can cause your simulation to go quite slow, which my wedding dress does in that video. Because I'm working the simulation heavy way. Mm. I'll split this one again. I'm tapering the edges with this piece now, so what I'm doing here is I'm creating a tapered corner at the top here. So this is tapering into this seam. So I can bring it down to 0, but I also need to remember that I am making convert to curve point, that this is going around. Oops. Don't just run around. Okay. So I did measure it. Now I'm eyeballing it. Let's see. I think that'll be fine. And then I want to offset this piece as 2 millimeters. Offset as internal line at the 2 millimeters. Because these will sew to each other. So I have that offset. And I can make adjustments from here. But I do want to make sure it's close enough. So we'll do this first. Don't do that. What will help is if I extend and trim and add point to pattern outline. Same with this one. To pattern outline. Come on. Right click, pattern outline. I'm adding segment points by doing this, so it'll be a little bit easier to work and sew. Okay. Again, I'm just using free sewing. You could use the segment sewing, but I just don't really want to right now. Come here. And superimpose side. Where are you? I'm gonna grab it. You could also do superimpose over. I'll grab one of you. This time I will do the M to N free sewing. I'm sewing all of these pieces. Following the instructions, press enter to complete M sewing. And enter to complete N sewing. Selecting all of these. And then again, superimpose side. Might have to flip my normals, but we'll find out in a second. I think so. And superimpose over. There we go. And I got my normals were correct the first time. So right click, flip them back. So now I got that pocket, at least the start of it. Something's going on here. Let's see. That should fix it. There we go. So now it's coming out nice. I do need to taper this a lot more. So we'll taper it the other direction. So you can see it's tapered. It looks pretty, it looks nice. Control H. I'll strengthen the seam again. These are all still 20 particle distance, so it's not helpful. Because these are getting pretty small. So I'm making this 5 so we can take a look at what's going on here. Yeah, that looks good. Ideally, this would taper to 0. But probably not going to happen. Convert to curve point. Just remember that's the exterior line, right? So what we're going to do is sew this interior line next. There we go. So now I have that little lip on my edge. So to make this a little bit closer, what I want to do, there's two ways I could do this. I could just leave this and then just hope it works itself out, because oftentimes it does. But I could also put a little pleat here. Another way I can do this is just, because this is an internal line, I can just bring this to 0. And I haven't added a point there yet. And then I can sew it. So let's see how this looks. So this top portion needs to sew here. And let's see how that looks. All right, that worked out pretty good. Okay, cool. So I do want these pieces to actually kind of stand out more square, just like these ones over here. I will do that. So I showed you with the fold arrangement tool. Let's do the same thing just with the edit pattern tool. So, or I can use the sewing tool. So if I use the sewing relationship tool, let me just grab this. I don't want that lower one, but I do want this one. I can do my fold strength and fold angle. So let me do it this way so you have a visual here. So fold strength and fold angle. If I move this green one further out, you can see it's going closer and closer to 360. So I can just make it 360 and simulate, and now it's a lot more square, as you can see. So I can do the same thing to this sewing relationship line, but do the opposite. And so I have that nice square angle. It's going to be the same with all of these. So good example is I like to do those also at the end personally, but that's also just my preferences. So I can just click and drag. All of this is this piece. Oops. I keep hitting that Windows key. I don't need that in my life. I can click and drag all of this. This is this pocket. This is the interior pocket. This is this pocket. Make sure I get this angle and this one. And I can make these all going down. So it's a bit more square. If you're not careful though, it can do something like, it can go the wrong way. But you do want to check your fold angles too. I'll just copy and paste this really fast and then we'll finish cleaning this up because we're almost done. Because these all have sewing relationships and these ones don't, I can literally copy and paste the internal line. Control C, Control D. Just make sure it lines up with those internal lines. Ah, fine. Where'd you go? Am I working below? No, I'm not. Where are you? whatever. Just because I don't know where these things have sent themselves to, I'm going to go ahead and grab those. I think they are inside the bag. Need them to pop out. Okay, stop doing that. Let's cause some problems today. And this is why we freeze the bag. All right, that one's figured out. Sort yourself out. Come on. Please. Thank you. All right, there we go. These should all be nylon canvas. Let's see. Now I can start doing colors. I should fix my fold angles though. But I will freeze these. Maybe go to the side. We're going to isolate you guys. And we'll do this one first. Hi everyone, I have a non-luggage bag question. So I think your question, you're not actually flattening the patterns in the 3D view with that question of, I'm currently extracting patterns from Geo using an avatar line flatten 3D view. You're not actually flattening it in the 3D view. You're creating a 2D pattern. So what you're basically doing is tracing those lines and you're creating a very tight shape. So most likely what's happening is you're not accounting for like stretch that's causing that, as well as what's Rosemary is saying is you can use the line tack to avatar tool, but no matter what you do, the strain on that, if you look at the strain map of the mesh, it's going to be pulling it really tight. So if you're going to be wanting wrinkles after that, that's going to cause you a whole other problem that you're going to need to account for. If there are any curves on what you are flattening, you are not accounting for those curves if you are not putting another internal line using the avatar line tool to accommodate and to allow the pattern that's flattening to create excess for that point that you're extracting. If that makes sense. Why are you here? I do that while I'm trying to do two other things. The same thing. What's happening is if you try to flatten a dome, you aren't going to get the exact shape of that dome if you don't account for creating the topology, creating lines for the topology that you have to sew around. Like much like a beach ball, you're going to need to account for that dome shape. Yeah, so for the Superman suit, I should do a tutorial in the future on those, but I did make a tutorial very similar to that concept, but it's going to be our swimwear tutorial, our swimwear live stream. You need to account for how garments are made in Marvelous Designer. But the way that tool is working is you're not accounting for the shape of those patterns are going to have to become. Like if you're going over like a chest, there is an apex point there. And so if you just go straight over it, you're going to get a wonky pattern that's not going to fit the shape properly. I also recommend following, I linked the tutorials in the very beginning of the stream. Our trace, our line avatar tool YouTube video for pattern making. It's in the introduction series playlist. Watch that video and you'll understand how the tool works a little bit better. I don't know if that's the one Rosemary's grabbing. Anyway, back to how my fold angles are working with my sewing relationship. I'm just gonna leave these alone so we can just finish this. This sturgeon. So we have this, I'm just gonna do this one a little bit differently. Just for the sake of speed, I'm just gonna sew this to one of these. And then just have it flopped open. Just for the sake of time. That should be fine. I'm just gonna free sew this onto one of these handles and then superimpose under. Give that a second. I'm just gonna leave this like this just because I want it there. So we're actually almost done. I'm just gonna go ahead and start making this look pretty. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna delete all the unused. Nylon canvas, I'm gonna make a copy. So now I'm pretty much done with this. Let's make sure I'm not crazy. Oh yes, I need to do one more thing. Traces pattern. I'm applying that bit here. Again, superimpose over. While it's selected, I'm hitting F to focus. We'll do the brown. Make it a cooler brown. Where are these belts? And so it's only there for now. And then let's start bringing in those zippers. So I'm actually going to delete this. So my zippers are now going to go in here. So I'm going to actually hide, Shift Q to hide these. It is relatively complicated. If it was pretty easy in the beginning though, you just keep adding more and more to it, just like how you do. So we're just going to use the zipper tool. So here I can just click along as I go to make sure it doesn't snap anywhere it shouldn't. Double click to finish. And do the same to the other side. I've already accounted for the exact size I'm wanting to make. The internal one first. So the internal piece actually, is going to be a little bit shorter. Do keep that one in mind. And then, come here. Yeah, we'll give it a second. Come here. How do I want to do this? It is a much smaller sewing relationship. No, I know it's double click to finish. The problem, Rosemary, is that the sewing lines are on a curve. So I would have to do it this way. What is the length of this? 847.9. This is the problem, is I have to, now that I've done that, I can remove it. So I'm gonna have to make this 4 millimeters. Because I'm cheating this along a curve, my sewing lines are gonna be different lengths. But if the line that it's sewing into is the same length, that one can stretch and then that one can be accommodated for. Don't simulate. Superimpose side. Where is it? Okay, they're both in here. This way, I can actually get this working in the space because the lengths aren't the same. So the reason it wasn't working was because the line lengths weren't the same. So this is another way to cheat it, is to do it this way or to work around it. So these line lengths should be the same now that I've done this. As long as I stay on the correct line. Yes. So now it's going to work. And that's fine. I just forgot about math for a minute. If I let it simulate itself for a second, I can then edit the tool here. Okay. Width, we're going to make that 4. And so now it'll be flush. I just forgot that I needed to sew into a line that needed to perfectly match. So that's the thing with the zippers, is they do need to be the correct same length that they're sewing into. Because in real life, you can work around a curve. You can ease the zipper in with like around a corner like this. But you do need to remember that they, in Marvelous Designer, we can't really ease it as well with this specific tool for now. So make sure you have something it's sewing into that's the exact same length as what it's going to sew it to. Now let's just change the zipper color, because this is easy. Make this that same brown. I'll just make them all matchy-matchy. If I wanted to, I could also go the other route, which is make this really thick and just make it look like it's only the teeth, and then make it metallic, but I'll keep it like a plastic looking zipper. That's fine. So now that I've done that, all the other ones are sewing into straight lines, so that's why that one was the only one that was complex. We'll do that with these front pockets as well. These ones are all straight. Make sure you don't sew around the curve by accident. Double click to finish, and make sure you sew in the same direction. These ones will be the 5 millimeters. It's fine, I'll deal with that collision in a minute. And so double click, double click. You do just need to give it a minute to kind of settle in place. I can also move them out of the way. It does affect the sewing relationship, so it's going to give me a second here. So that should be fine. Making sure, that's why. This is where we want to make sure everything's a low particle distance before it gets mad at itself. There we go. To make it easier on me, I am going to move these zippers. So I could just unzip them partially. If I can grab the zipper pull on this one while it's not simulating. Resets, slider arrangement. I can also select the zipper and then just choose, I can also adjust my stoppers too. Stopper closed. And adjust these fasten. Fine, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna back off the stitching a little bit. Just to get this to settle down. Problem is that it has a really, really dense mesh with those zipper pulls. So I'm just gonna give it a chance here. There we go. Stop. These zipper pulls are new, or the stop ends are new. There you go. You would maybe stop that. That'd be great. Okay. I'm going to give this one collision thickness a little higher of a value. I don't like what it's doing. There we go. One at a time. Because this is so close to itself, that's what's causing this problem. There we go. I will close this back up. Okay. And just for a faster simulation, I am freezing this because it's in place. It's fine. Deal with that one later. So same thing's going to happen with this curve point. Where is this? Okay, I'm here. Double click to finish, always choosing to start on the same side. Otherwise you will crisscross. I'm just going to do this kind of fast. We are over time, so that's why I'm doing it kind of like this. I'll finish the zippers off stream, but let's go ahead and do the rest of the fun stuff. Which is the rest of the coloring. Got gray and dark brown. Okay. Make the nylon canvas a gray. Just so we can kind of see it while I'm doing this. This fabric. I don't want to bring in a... You can use substance textures, but they will slow down the simulation, and I'm not going to do that right now. All right. Make sure. Okay, what are the where are the color? Where are these colors? I'm just going to color the zipper tape that is in place. Let's give that the color. And we'll make this a darker gray. Come here, you. And then I do want to make Control A for all of the gray. Fine, we'll make a copy. I zoomed in too close, so I'm just going to replace it. It's really funny. Delete unused. I don't know what I just did. Okay. Oh, you know what I just did? I just did a hotkey. There we go. Okay, delete unused. We'll fix that. Guess I'll grab that substance texture while we're here. And then we'll finish this up. Fabric, canvas. Guess we'll do cotton heavy canvas, just for the sake of it. Dark gray. Copy. Do that dark brown. Make it a cool brown. On just really the straps and the zippers. Keep that one gray. And I'll show you the substance texture. So I do have a tool from Substance. So if I go to my Substance folder, just take a minute to load. So I'm just going to type in tool. Oh, mine's funny. That's why. I reset my substance texture. We'll just stick with what I've got. We'll just make the basic fabric. And I crashed it. That's what happens when I open Substance too many times. But it's fine because it saves every 5 minutes. That's what happens when I click too many times with the Substance open. That's exactly what I get for doing that. Like, when you know better, but you shouldn't have done that. Yes, please. Thank you, Magic Bag. We'll just give it its color back, and then we'll just kind of call it. Exactly what I get for doing too many with Substance textures open. I'm gonna do a color block there too. Okay. Drag and drop. So at least we have this. Oh, wrong one. And I'll be bringing the zippers in here. There we go. This is our little sturgeon bag. He's very sad. He's sad his eyes don't have color. That's okay. He'll get over it eventually. Clean it. Listen, Rosemary. I have to make a thumbnail right after this. So that it's not ugly on YouTube. Clean it up later. I will clean it up later. Leave me alone. But this is the bag. We're basically done. I will be doing my cleanup and fixing this because this is an older state, as we saw. But thank you guys for joining us. Let's go ahead and go back to all of those resource links one last time. For ya. Live stream bags. Bob. Here we go. Listen, Rosemary, I have to clean it up. It takes so much time, and I have to render it too. So I don't know if Discord's working yet, but we'll see in a minute. Here's a link to our Discord channel where you can chat with other people, other Marvelous Designer users, get assistance, get feedback. And here is a link to our website for Marvelous Designer, where you can actually get the software. Just don't open. I have Substance nested inside of Substance, and I was trying to open it 3 times in a row, which crashed. So don't do that, because my Substance folder is a little bit weird just because I haven't cleaned it up yet. So don't do as I say, not as I do. Here is a link to the YouTube channel for those of you who are on Twitch. Oh, good, Discord's back up. For those of you who are on Twitch, we do let them expire after the 14 days or however long Twitch just wants to leave them up for us. But we do leave these up in perpetuity here on YouTube. So you can always come back to our YouTube channel and then watch these streams. And I was talking earlier to somebody. Here is the link to the beginner tutorials, where you can actually do multiple different methods of pattern creation, which is draping, drawing, tracing, and then using existing assets such as our modular mode, or like the modular configurator. And last but not least, here is a link to just our support on our website, where you can like submit technical issues if you're having trouble logging into your account, if you're having problems using Marvelous Designer and it's like you think it's a bug and you haven't seen it anywhere else, like on the Discord or something, feel free to go there and send us a support ticket. We do stream every other Wednesday currently, so I won't be streaming this next Wednesday, but I'll probably be streaming next Wednesday, depending on what's happening. We do let you guys know in the Discord That is where we make most of the announcements, except for today. I did mention it earlier in the week, but Discord decided to have fun. So we might stream next week. We might stream, or not next week, the week after that, but we'll see. We're trying to do some more stuff, so it does take a little bit more time from us on our end, which does take away time from streaming. So we'll see. I will let you guys know, so definitely join our Discord to keep an eye out for the announcements channel when we were going to be streaming next. We will announce it ahead of time. Thank you guys for joining us. I will clean it up. Don't... you'll once it's cleaned up, you'll see the thumbnail. The thumbnail will appear on YouTube. So thank you guys for joining us. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you guys at the very